What you're talking about.
Get real.
You all ready for this? Dun 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 dun.
No. Y'all, just stop.
This is a sham.
Woohoo! Welcome to DBL. It's Hump Day. Hello, Erica.
Hello.
We are feeling it right here. Al, are you as well feeling it from home, sir?
Absolutely. It's good to see my girls in the studio.
I know. I miss Al. I really do. All right, let's get to this. I have a lot of questions and I want to chat it out. The drama continues between Britney Spears and her sister Jamie Lynn. So yesterday, Britney's lawyers, I don't know why I said it that way, lawyers, served Jamie Lynn with a cease and desist letter demanding that she stop talking about Britney during her book tour. Jamie Lynn recently spoke on a podcast about the book and recalled a time when Britney took a knife and locked them both in a room when she was 12. Let's take a listen to that.
That was an experience I went through, and it was really scary. I felt really unsafe. I think it's important that I say that because I didn't understand it. I was a kid. I just knew I felt really scared.
In a now deleted post, Britney recalled coming home after her breakup with Justin Timberlake and noticed how Jamie Lynn was being waited on by their mom, who was, quote, messed up on pain medication after splitting from their dad. Britney ended the post saying she should have slapped both of their bleeping faces. And Britney's lawyer is also claiming that $30 million of her money was spent to keep her conservatorship going, and that her dad, Jamie, took home $6 million over 13 years. I'm happy to see at least some litigation happening from the Britney camp, only because I think she was so ill represented before. I appreciate her asking Jamie Lynn to stop speaking about her on the book tour. Erica, what do you think about this enormous mess? It's turned into just a circus.
You know, it's so interesting how this has all come so full circle, right? Because I think for a very long time, the truth was so much stranger than fiction that it was hard for any of us, myself included, to fathom and believe, right? You know, it seemed fantastic. Now it's like, this was so off the rails, and this woman, Britney Spears, has been silenced for so long. And really, I mean, when you look at it, I read that since deleted post. She said she should have slapped her mama and her sister. And if this is true, yeah, they both needed to be slapped. These people have been not only sponging off of Britney Spears, but also creating their own lanes in terms of, like, let's face it, Jamie Lynn Spears would not have gotten the opportunities that she had gotten at that level at that time if she weren't the younger sister of Britney Spears. So for Britney to come out and say a cease and desist on speaking my name even more to profit, yeah, I think I would be ready to slap some people too. I
understood the anger a lot, and I think she's been quiet for so long. You know, she says I have just started, but Al, Jamie Lynn is saying Britney's spiraling. So I know you also want to take care of her mental health, but go ahead and tell me what you think.
I mean, it's, you know, Erica made that point that they've all been sponging off her, and then as soon as you said that, I started thinking, well, we wouldn't have gotten Kieran Culkin if it wasn't for Macaulay. Sometimes there are two really talented people in the family, but in this case, Kabi, I will agree with you on this. Where's the money? Where is all of this money? Because we have two things to separate and unpack here. One is that somebody that should have one of the larger fortunes in all of show business seems to be doing fair to middling, but doesn't seem like she should have the money that she should. And then it seems like there's also just personal things. The other things almost seem like things that like a 13-year-old would write in their diary. Mom likes my sister better than me. She did this. Mom is waiting on her hand and foot, and it just seemed it seemed like she has not progressed since that point. She is still, you know, a teenager in terms of like not getting over the inequities between her and her sister. So we need to talk about the money and we need to talk about the personal relationship. But let's get to that $30 million first.
Right, you can separate the two, right? Go ahead, Erica.
I do want to push back on that point about the Macaulay Culkin and his brother Kieran, because it's Kieran, right? Kieran, sorry. Because Kieran is having his moment moment now. He's a full-grown man. We're talking about a girl who was given a series at like 11, 12 years old. I think those are two different things. There's a body of work behind that. But I do want to say I don't have any problems with there being more than one talented person in the family. I mean, I like to say accolades to my family all day long. But I just think that Britney really has a point about the way that she was made to make her name versus the way her sister got to come up off of Britney's name.
I also got the feeling that when she was like, I had to work for every penny I made, Britney's show mom wasn't waiting on her hand and foot, in my mind, from that description. She was working her butt off, going from motel to motel to motel. She didn't have it like Jamie Lynn, and I could understand some anger. Does she need to see a therapist? 1,000,000%. I'm not a clinician, but that doesn't stop from the other being true. Do you know what I mean? Right. It doesn't stop it. Follow the money, as Al said. All right, Bono. Oh, what a great guy. He may be the lead singer of one of the most successful rock bands ever, but he's not a fan of his own music. So Bono said on a podcast that he's embarrassed by most of the band's songs, and he wasn't a fan of the name U2 in the beginning either. Bono is also the biggest critic of his own voice, saying he only became a singer recently, adding that maybe it hasn't happened yet for some people's ears. Take a look. Oh, sorry, excuse me, no thought there, okay? Can you relate? Do you hate the way you sound, Al?
Absolutely. Eric, I know that you do an incredible podcast, Who Cares What We Think, and I'm sure that you have to edit and listen to your own voice. And if we're going to be 100% honest here, it's definitely hurt my comedy career because for the first 8 or 9 years, I was unable to listen to myself or watch myself on camera, which is how people, if you think about a football team, they look at game tape to figure out what they're doing wrong on certain plays, what they're doing right. And if you can't look at that and analyze it, it's difficult. And I think a lot of people don't like to hear their own voice, but I really couldn't do it. I really relate to this in a lot of different ways. Just being embarrassed, it makes no sense. I have no problem getting up. I could do stand up in front of 50,000 people and couldn't care less, but listening to my own voice for 5 minutes, it's really tough for me.
Really? When you're like a podcaster, Al, what do you think, Erica?
I know, it's weird.
It's weird.
That is a weird thing. See, I came up in radio, so I'm used to hearing myself in my headphones.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've heard it the whole time.
Right. It's more like I can tune myself out, as a lot of other people do as well, which is fine.
That's not true.
Yeah, I don't really have an issue with that. I'm constantly getting the feedback. I'm constantly hearing it back, so...
I think I sound really nasal, which I'm sure a lot of you also do, but I also have what I think I'm hearing from Bono, and I'm learning a little bit about it, imposter syndrome, where you don't think you're like good enough to be where we all obviously think Bono should be. And I for sure feel that way, especially around the other hosts. There's a sense of like, I always feel like the least good, and that's not great, but it's real. It's relatable and it's understandable.
Well, some people would say go with that.
Yeah,
what I'll say... No, Tori, it's really interesting you said that about imposter syndrome. I was interviewing a very successful realtor down in Texas, and she owns 2 firms, and she has 130 agents working for her. Yeah. And she said the exact same thing. She says every day she has imposter syndrome. She's incredibly successful.
Right.
Like almost, and every single day she gets up and she doubts herself. So there's something to that. And really quickly, side note, when he's talking about not liking U2, I watched a documentary about Run DMC, and we all know that group. It's iconic. Yeah, Erica, Run DMC, everybody knows. But he was like, when our manager first came to us with that name, they were like, this is the dumbest thing we've ever heard. So it takes a while. I mean, before it was Run DMC, it's just like, what does that mean? Who's going to say that?
Yeah.
And so like, it takes a while for it to be normal. So I can see U2 being weird to him.
Right. Comparison robs joy, y'all.
It does. Oh, I'm so bad at that. All right, we do have some very sad news I hate to give to you, but I have to. Fashion icon and former Vogue creative director Andre Leon Talley has passed away. He was 73. Now, according to TMZ, he had been in the hospital battling an unknown illness. At 6'6", Andre was a larger-than-life presence in the fashion world, known for his flamboyant style and signature capes. He joined Vogue in 1983, and he rose to become the magazine's first black creative director and later editor-at-large. In the 90s, he worked hard to highlight black models like Naomi Campbell. And in an op-ed he wrote for the Washington Post, he said he didn't sound a bullhorn over diversity, but he nurtured it, wherever he could. In his 2020 memoir, he wrote that he and his former mentor, Anna Wintour, had a fractured relationship, but he did credit her with shaping his career. In a 2018 interview, he said his success came down to knowing his stuff. Watch this.
When I opened my mouth, I knew what I was talking. I didn't just say frivolous things. I never felt that I couldn't meet in a conversation with the best of them. Karl Lagerfeld, Diana Vreeland, Giorgio Santangelo, Calvin Klein, all the designers.
Erica, doesn't that speak of knowing your worth?
Absolutely. It speaks to knowing your worth, but it also speaks to meeting the moment from where you are. When I look at Andre Leon Talley, I think, when I first see someone like that, it's about the magic, and then I go back and view them again to get the message. And the message there is very much, to me, like meeting the moment from where you are, the way that you can meet it. We often compare, again, that word comes up, what people are doing to help diversity, what people are doing in order to move forward. And this is a man who found a way to do that in his own way, and look at the impact that he's had.
Absolutely. He will be missed. He will be so missed. Fashion royalty for sure. We'll be right back. Closed captioning provided by I just didn't know what that meant.
Hey. Okay, so we were talking about, imposter syndrome, the idea of comparison robs joy. And, when Tori was talking about imposter syndrome, I think one thing when you hear it's like the sound of your voice or whatever it is, to me, especially when it comes to hearing yourself, me coming from radio, it's a little different because, as a radio person, a voiceover talent, a part of what makes you able to book and what makes you successful is what makes you different about the person who's sitting next to you, maybe the person who's auditioning against you. There has to be a variety in that tonation. There has to be a variety in how your voice comes across. So the idea that it might sound a little grating to you to hear your voice back is probably that same quality that's getting you booked and busy. So it's a very weird give and take, but I can totally understand the idea of imposter syndrome. If you don't second guess yourself even a little bit, then I think that's also a sign of arrogance. So I think it's important to find the balance, but to constantly beat up on yourself and think, you're not good enough is really kind of against the objective of what your life's work and passion should be. So I always think that there's a fine line. That being said, I have spoken a lot, which I can do a lot. I don't know what Tori's doing, but
I was going to say this.
I'm having a whole conversation with myself.
I liked it because we were talking about, do you remember when U2 put their album on your phone without asking? Everyone really disliked that, and that turned them into U2, well, they're coming on when I'm not even asking for them. They were giving you a free album. Nobody wanted.
It was really hard to take it off your phone.
You couldn't get it off.
No.
It was actually terrible.
Yeah, that was the problem.
It was terrible.
That was the problem.
It was bad. But that really offended people. I remember.
Easy to take off your phone.
Welcome back to DBL. All right, Amy Schumer says she's feeling a lot better after some recent procedures. Amy posted this shot of her beautiful self in a bathing suit on the beach. She captioned the post saying, quote, she feels good. Finally, after having surgery to remove her uterus and liposuction. She said, quote, never thought I would do anything but talk to me after your uterus does not contract for 2.5 years and you turn 40. All right, Al, what do you think about her being so open about liposuction?
I say good for her. We've talked about this before. Full disclosure, I've known Amy for a long time, and honestly, she's been the same person the entire time that I've known her. She's a great human being. But also, even if she wasn't, she doesn't have to tell anybody that she had work done or what work it was. But But she also has the right to do it, and she has fans around her age that are probably on the fence, and she's like, hey, I wanted to feel a little bit better about myself, and here's what I did. And it's kind of giving people the green light, which I think has been happening for a long time. I think it's much less stigmatized for people to have any kind of work done at any age. So what do you guys think about that?
Well, I know and a lot of people have had mommy makeovers right after they have their last child. There's maybe a breast lift or a tummy tuck or some lipo. I thought it was great that she was open because that's Amy Schumer about it.
Yeah, I think do you.
Yeah.
And if people have a problem with it, then that's just their problem.
Right.
What I do take issue with, to be totally honest, is when people have a very aesthetic change and makeover and they're not honest about what it is. So it's like, had she done all of those procedures, which she felt she needed to do, and God bless, but then said, hey, and then this tea will make you will give you these same results. It's like, that's the thing that I take issue with. Just say what it is, because especially if people are asking you.
Erica, you're forgetting both can be true. It can be the tea and $90,000 at the plastic surgeon.
It's not the tea. It's not the tea. I do have to say this, though. If you guys didn't know about endometriosis, my mother had it, and I think a lot of women had it, and it was not a known word. And Amy really documented her pain, as did Lena Dunham and other celebrities, about what it means. And it's when things take over in your organs, and anytime you move, it stretches it, so it hurts, and they have to literally cauterize and laser it off. It's an incredibly painful, incredibly toxic situation for women, especially in the uterus, and no one really talked about it. So I just want to say thank you to Amy for not only talking lipo, but for endo, because I think both are really important. And if you are feeling pain, go check it out with your gynecologist and perhaps bring up endometriosis. Say you came from Dr. Schulman. Coming up on DBL. What had this delivery driver dancing? We'll explain what led to his impromptu performance. Coming up next.
We all know.
Democrats push for the passage of voting rights legislation, there's been more criticism of the filibuster, with President Joe Biden issuing his strongest endorsement yet for changing the rule. But at least 50 senators need to be on board. One who isn't is Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia, who claimed the filibuster has been, quote, a tradition of the Senate for 232 years now, unquote. The Senate's first session was 233 years ago, in 1789. Others on social media, like journalist Ashton Pittman, disputed Manchin's comment, saying the filibuster was actually first used 185 years ago, in 1837. So let's verify. Has the Senate always had the filibuster? We went to these sources for an answer. According to U.S. Senate records, the filibuster is, quote, Senate tradition of unlimited debate to delay or prevent a vote on a bill, resolution, amendment, or other debatable question, unquote. However, there is no mention of the filibuster in either the Constitution nor the first set of rules the Senate adopted back in 1789. According to the Constitution Center, using extended speeches to delay a vote dates back to 1790, but it says that strategy wasn't used to prevent the vote entirely, which is possible with the filibuster. In 1801, Thomas Jefferson wrote a manual on how to work within the Senate rules. In it, he denounced using speeches as a delay tactic, but that was more of a suggestion and not a rule. Two constitutional law experts who conducted a review of the history of the filibuster say, quote, the precedents creating a right of unlimited debate evolved gradually, beginning in the 1820s. But the Senate did not finally establish a right of unlimited debate until 1856. That's 67 years after the first Senate session. So we can verify, no, the Senate has not always had the filibuster. With your Verify, I'm Adiante Till.
Welcome back to DBL. If there's one thing that everyone can relate to since the start of the pandemic, and Al's been amazing about this, it's getting things delivered to your door. Al always has something left out for them. Well, we've got some delivery drivers who are going beyond the call of duty, and it was all caught on Ring cameras, which is my favorite. All right, up first, check out this guy delivering the moves. The homeowner put up a sign asking drivers to dance, and he did not hold back at all. I love this guy. Next, check out this delivery driver's good deed. She takes out the trash that had been left on the porch. Ugh, what a little mitzvah. Next, with so much of the country dealing with winter weather, look at how far this worker was willing to go to make sure the package made it. That is amazing. And for a lot of drivers, dogs can be a bit of an obstacle to get around while on the job. So watch this tense standoff.
Be a good boy. Please be a good boy. Hi, dude. I just need to deliver this package. Are we good or? Come here, Dada. Oh, dude, he wants to eat me. He's a good boy. He's a good boy. Oh, he's a good boy. He's a good boy. Oh my God, thank God. Thank God. You're a good boy. You're a good boy.
Oh my God, thank God. Al, what do you think about that? And would you ever ask your drivers to dance?
I don't want to ask any adult to dance. That's not going to happen. Maybe if I'm like on a float in New Orleans
Fair.
for Mardi Gras, maybe I'll be down to do that. But
That's fair.
I will not be telling another adult to dance. Now, I will say this because shout out to the delivery drivers. Full disclosure, my girl and I, we had a discussion because obviously, but it's been documented. We give away
a lot of stuff, yeah.
We have a box for them, soda and water and coffee and whatever, Starbucks, those glass ones. And she gives away the large Reese cups, Erica, but the one with 4 in it.
Whoa.
The big one.
King
And
size?
I was like, wow, okay, it was a lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot for me to digest, but seeing that, they deserve it. But when you're giving
candy.
away 4 Reese cups, it's a lot.
That's a king size.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start delivering packages at your house.
She's awesome.
I will say this about the one with the UPS driver and the icy driveway. Please shovel, and if you can put salt down. I had a delivery person deliver food once, and although we had a path, he chose to veer off the path, and he's like, you need to shovel your entire courtyard. Woo. And the way that he did it, like, it was more indicative of, we need to be doing this for liability purposes, period, because we did have an actual path shoveled. But ever since then, we do make sure to clear the entire path. And I would just encourage anyone to do that, not only because it's the right thing to do for anybody who's walking up to your door, but also because that's a major liability if someone slips on the path or decides to veer off the path intentionally or not intentionally to slip.
That's exactly right.
Yes.
And if they hurt themselves, that's on you. In fact, a famous case is a robber went to rob someone, fell as they tried to escape, and sued successfully because they tripped on their land. How interesting.
The come up, y'all.
Way to go. Come up. Upgrade. We'll be right back. Thanks, guys.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
Verified viewer RL asked, quote, did Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg say that posting the Lord's Prayer went against its policy, unquote? RL's question stems from chain message Facebook posts like this one, asking others to share the Lord's Prayer, a popular Christian prayer, to their timelines to protest an alleged Facebook ban. But is Facebook banning posts containing the Lord's Prayer? Let's verify. These are our sources. A spokesperson for Meta, Facebook's parent company, said, quote, posting the Lord's Prayer does not violate our policies, unquote. The only mention of religion or Christianity in Facebook's community standards is in a section banning hate speech against religious affiliation from the site. There's also a Facebook page with 42,000 likes called Praying the Lord's Prayer Daily, and it's been around since 2019. As for Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg, he has never made a public statement stating that Facebook intends to ban the prayer or Christian messaging in general from its platform. So we can verify, no. Facebook is not banning posts containing the Lord's Prayer. With your Fast Fact, I'm Adiande Till.
The holiday travel season is in full swing, and one verified viewer, Eileen, realized the airline canceled her son's flight weeks before departure. So she asked us, can airlines cancel your reservation weeks or months in advance? Eileen, let's verify. Our sources are the U.S. Department of Transportation and the 5 largest U.S. airlines. The DOT has some oversight over airlines that fly to, from, or within the U.S. It mandates, quote, a passenger is entitled to a refund if the airline canceled the flight, regardless of the reason, and the passenger chooses not to travel, unquote. When you buy a ticket on any airline, it's essentially a contract, and you're agreeing to abide by certain terms. Usually buried at the bottom of airline websites is an agreement called a contract of carriage. For example, Delta's policy says, quote, Delta will transport the passenger to the destination on Delta's next flight on which seats are available in the class of service originally purchased, unquote. That's consistent with the policies of the 4 other largest airlines in the U.S. So it's true, airlines can cancel your reservation weeks or months in advance, but many have rules requiring them to rebook you on another flight, or you can take a refund if those options don't work. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
The American Red Cross is declaring a national blood crisis. The Red Cross says blood donations have fallen 10% during the pandemic. That's due to a surge in COVID cases, staff shortages, and blood drive cancellations. The Red Cross usually keeps 3 days of inventory, but right now it's struggling to keep enough for just 1 day. Hospitals say this means they're just one bad accident away from being unable to adequately take care of patients who need blood transfusions. So, what can you do? Find a Red Cross location and donate now. All blood types are needed, but especially type O, since people of any blood type can receive it. And another incentive, anyone who donates by the end of the month will be entered to win 2 free tickets, airfare, and lodging to the Super Bowl.
Welcome back. If you're looking to change up your space this year, listen up. It's time for some DBL home hacks presented by American Home Shield. Pillows can make your space more comfy. Plus, different coverings can make remixing a room simple. Just swap out the covers seasonally or for a special occasion. So the next pro tip is to stage pillows in groups of 3. This creates balance, and it also gives you a good reason to feature different shapes, sizes, and textures. And a great finishing touch is a little scented fabric spray. Who doesn't love to curl up to a fresh floral or seasonal scent that will make your house feel more like home? A home warranty plan from American Home Shield helps cover things homeowners insurance leaves out. You can rest easy knowing you're ready for whatever breakdowns strike next. Visit ahs.com to find a plan that's right for you. We have a bone to pick with you, Mr. Jackson. We believe, can you pronounce the thing that your girl gave away to the delivery driver? How did you say it?
Reese's cup?
Oh, he said it right there. Okay. Do you ever say Reese?
What did you think I said?
We thought you said Reese's, which a lot of people say. Reese's Pieces.
See, I
thought it
grew
was
up
Reese's
here,
Pieces.
So I grew up hearing Reese's Pieces. That's not a word. I think it's like a southern, I think it might be a regional thing, like Chicago,
We're both from the
Reese's
Midwest.
Pieces. Yeah, that makes.
I definitely called them Reese's Pieces.
Reese's Pieces.
Okay, I thought Reese's were different than Reese's, so it's Reese's Pieces.
No, that's not a word. That's not Reese's cup. And Reese is one dude, and it's all his pieces and cups. So good for you, Reese. DBL's New Every Day. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Bye, guys.